Hey, I'm Scott, here with Coldtub. We're going to do an orientation on the operation of the Icebox. So we'll get started. First, we've got owner's manual. I've written here in the front on top. First and foremost, let's remember this number. It's the 877-882-1965. You can call that number anytime. It's going to go to my cell. It's our tech support, right? So if you have any problems, have concerns, I can help you out, show up, do whatever you need to do, all right? Anyway, so we've got the tub. Comes with the cover. Let's start just going over the manual, all right? I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm going to run through the manual with you guys. We'll just go through most of the points, and then I'm just going to do a quick orientation over the whole thing afterwards. You guys are all good back there?
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the congratulations. We've got the safety instructions. Don't jump in it if you're pregnant or if you're drinking, consuming alcohol, etc. We're going to get down to page 3, has your tub specifications. This tub is the Icebox. So if you need to know what the dimensions are, heater, like the amperage specifications, I think that it really matters water capacity to yourselves. There's a warning on hypothermia. You're going to do installation, which we've already taken care of that. Then we're going to do your startup procedures. And if you take a look at the bottom left side of that page on adding how much salt. So we've made some good points that are highlighted in this because that's the only thing really you need to add. This is a saltwater tub. So you add salt, you're not going to be adding sanitizer. It has this automated system that we're going to show in the controls later on how to set how much sanitizer it's going to produce for itself depending on use. So when you do a fill, you add the salt, never again. Don't keep adding salt because if you keep adding salt, then it's going to have a high salt content. It's going to make the water corrosive and parts can start to corrode inside of it. So remember, the salt is a one-time on the fill, that's it, and then hide it in a locker. All right, water maintenance. So what we have is here is more quick reference cards on your water maintenance. We've made this extremely simple if you're doing the water chemistry on this tub, all right? So it has a list of all the tubs in the row. Again, if we went to the Icebox, it says if you had to decrease your alkalinity, it goes right to the reading. If your parts per million alkaline is 85, go to your Icebox, it's going to tell you to add 43 grams. And then again at the bottom it tells you what 43 or what the grams are. It'll tell you 2.5 grams is 1 teaspoon, or a mountain, like a heaping teaspoon is 5 grams. So it gives you a really good breakdown that you shouldn't have any confusion or have to be a chemist or a mathematician to figure out how to do the chemicals on the tub, all right? So then it goes through your pH up and down as well. Then it's going to give you, again, the instruction on your sea salt and your sanitizer for adding. All right, then we're going to go into your controls, which I'm going to run through that manually with you guys. Your care and maintenance is just keeping it clean. Your filter basket. All right, so let's get into that stuff. So we've got the cover here. There's a little bit of room off onto the side. So we slide this over. And please keep the cover on it when it's not in use. Just for climatize, it just keeps the tub running if it's trying to have the water temperature different than what the ambient temperature is. So that's just going to slip down there. Here's the tub. So when we're going to fill it, I don't know how you're going to swing around. Right here is your filter weir. So this is a floating door that floats up on it. You want to go halfway up this weir. If it's lower than the weir, obviously it's not going to draw any water in. If it goes higher than the weir, then it's not going to allow it to skim any body oils and contaminants that are floating on top of the water, all right? For removing this filter, inside there's a basket that has this piece. So it's going to go in straight, and then it does a 90-degree turn and flips down. There we go. So it goes in and then flips and goes down, all right? And inside of that, we've got a little cap and your filter, all right? The water was dirty out of the pipes. This on the top has a set for the amount of water that's going to flow through the filter. Just leave it wide open. We want the water filtering as much as possible at all times. That sits down. That's going to spin over and go down. Okay, so that's how much you're going to fill it. We're going to go into our controls here. And we'll just wait till this does a reset. because we're in a different spot. Okay, controls are pretty basic. It has a 56, that's telling you what the temperature of the water is right now. Your up and down arrows are going to do your set temperature. So if I want to change a set temperature, a little thermometer icon will come up. That means this is what your set temperature is. Icon will go out, and it'll go back to what the actual temperature of the water is. Now that I've set it up, it's actually fired up because it's going to try to adjust what the temperature is. So we'll go back to 55 there. All right, we have a pump button, so your pump's going to go, you've got a high speed and a low speed. You've got a Venturi dial right here, just they want to have some effervescent effect on it. It does boost the pressure as well on the jets. The number 2 is non-functional because there's not a second pump in this tub. Lower button's non-functional because there's not a blower in this tub. Light button turns your lights off and on. They're just a simple off-on. There's a 2-hour timer on the lights, so if you turn the lights on, don't turn them off. They automatically turn off in 2 hours. Same as the pump. If you leave the pump running, it's on a 20-minute cycle. After 20 minutes, it'll automatically shut itself down. So if people are in here, they're using it, and you leave everything running, it'll automatically shut itself down in a decent amount of time, so it's not using too much electricity, etc. Right? Okay. Next we're going to go is, here's a standby button. You don't need to use that ever, but it'll go to standby. It's for servicing reasons. And then we have this. This is the settings button. All right. So your settings button is going to set your filter cycles for how often it's going to circulate to filter the water, and it's going to set your chlorine production. All right. So if we're going to press this button once, it'll say SETT for settings. We're going to hit a second time ON. That's your chlorine production. This can go from 0 to 24, representing 24 hours in a day. So obviously your 24 is going to produce sanitizer 24 hours a day and then go down. I'm going to say we should probably leave it at about 6 right now, okay, because it's a high volume production system. So I mean, if you added 24, you're going to have way too much chlorine. But if you have a very high bather load coming in, you're going to want to turn it up to be producing that sanitizer. Just turn it down again afterwards. So again, that's your sanitizer. We're going to leave that set at 6. Next is your filtration. Filter duration, FD, filter duration. Go 1 to 6. We're going to leave that at 1. And then your filter frequency goes 1 to 4. So if you're a 6 and 4, again, that'd be your 24 hours a day. So we're going to leave that at 1 and 4. So it's going to circulate 1 hour 4 times a day, just for circulating the water to make sure that it's filtering. It's all good? Right on, guys. Okay, so we went through your filling, we went through that. Let's go through draining. I'm going to switch sides with you here. You got a drain right here concealed in the side. It's a cylinder style drain, so you can just grab it, pull it right out. All the way out is off. This will come out, and you can thread a garden hose onto there. Given the vicinity of where the drain is and the grade of the floor, I'm pretty sure it'd be safe, because we're going to slide in. Oh. And then it just gravity drains. Slide out, shuts off again. When it's all the way in, it's off. So that's how the drain functions, and that just tucks away out of sight. I picked up a garden hose, a little piece, just for like a wash machine type, to use it for filling as well. Because if you notice on the top of this, yesterday when I was filling it, there was a lot of backsplash coming out, hitting the wall and running down the side. So I just picked up some fittings so you could run the same garden hose for draining as for filling it and hook it on that. I don't know if you want to change that in the future or not, but I just had it for convenience for right now. All right, another thing, there is a space on the back side of this. This is really important for the function of this because it's running a compressor inside, which has to have a fair bit of airflow. So we have this grate on the front. We also have a grate on the back. This is going to have warm air coming out from it, and it's going to be drawing air in from the back. So when we're doing a drain, and you think you want to move it, we cannot move this to tuck it back into the wall. Because if we push it right tight into the wall, it's going to suffocate it, and then we're going to have mechanical breakdown. Okay, I'm just going to pop this cover up. All right. Over here on the wall, it's ground fault protected. So you've got 2 switches. One is a reset and a test. So we'll shut her down. That's your test. If it trips, so if the wood shuts down and you have no power, it's most likely the ground fault. Hit the red button. Power's up again, and we're going. So red button's your power on. When you're gonna drain the tub, make sure you power it off. Don't leave the power on when we're gonna drain it, otherwise it's gonna try to fire up, run water if there's not water in it, not good for equipment.
Awesome. All your settings remain combatant? They are safe?
What's that?
You lost power, all your settings?
Yes, all safe, safe for what you had them last. All right, let's go through chemicals.
What's the fill level? Is there like a line that you go to?
Yeah, just halfway up this guy here.
Yeah, on the Weir, it's about halfway up. It's we give you a bit of a range because depending on what your bather load is, when you got some big bodies jumping in there, they're going to displace a lot of water. So you're going to be on the lower half, I'm going to imagine, if you got 4 guys trying to jump into this, right? All right. Let's go through chemicals. And sanitizer. Test strips. All right, you get a little bucket. When you get it, you're going to actually use the bucket or get another bucket when you're adding the chemicals. The reason for that is we're running with cold water, not warm water. So when you're trying to dissolve granule chemicals into cold water, it doesn't really work out that well. And we're going to do the chemicals on this tub right now. So we have the dead sea salt. This is going to be a conditioner in the water and the sanitizer producer. It's probably easier if you did use warm water to do this, but we're going to want to pre-mix the chemicals in some water before we dump it in. Otherwise, you're just going to have a bunch of stuff sitting around in the bottom. And the water's cold, and I don't think we want to jump in there and try to stir it up. So, as it said in the manual, it's 3.48, so 3.5 kilos of salt is going into this tub.
So that's 1 bucket.
1 bucket is 2 kilos, so we're going to do 1.5 buckets.
And you only do this after you drain it and refill it.
Yes, the salt is only on a freshwater startup, and then not again. And it's more often than not, I end up with therapists that just, they add more. If the sanitizer's low, they add salt. And please don't. The sanitizer is low. We've got granular chlorine you can use, or you can turn the just turn the settings up. All right. So putting the salt in will be a little bit cloudy at first. Don't worry about that.
That was going to be my next question, but beat me to it.
Yeah, it's just as we're adding the solids right now, it'll clear itself right up. All right. It really depends on use and the contaminants that you're going to bring into the water. Like, this should be a nice environment because, I mean, the athletes are going to shower before they get in it. They're not going to be filthy. If I have them a lot, like running a track and field team, where they're going to be out running in the grass and in gravel, and then they just come and jump into it, then, I mean, you're bringing a lot of contaminants in. They're pretty much draining it. When they're in use, they're doing it every night. They're just doing a drain and fill. There we go, leave that in there. So that's it for there. Now when we're running through chemicals, there's an order in which to check your chemicals. You're gonna run alkalinity, then pH, then your sanitizer. So always remember that, alkalinity, pH, sanitizer. If we go through, back into the manual, I'm gonna find the page. That's your shutdown. Water maintenance. We go to water maintenance. doesn't have a page number. Its title is Water Maintenance. It's going to say methods for testing your water. First, adjust the alkalinity to between 80 and 120. Second, you'll do your pH, and then you're going to do your sanitizer. The reason for this is if your alkalinity and pH are out, it's going to affect what the reading of the sanitizer is. So if you start somewhere else, you're never actually going to get a true balance on it. So it's alkalinity, pH, sanitizer. I know I keep repeating it, but it's important. Okay, light replacement, you're not going to have to worry about that. Water maintenance is going to go through that. We're going to finish that up right away. We've got troubleshooting inside of there, which is simple. Like if you have cloudy water, change the filter first. Or you're going to just call the 1-800 number, really, whenever you have a problem. Okay, we're going to move down. We've got a quick reference guides after troubleshooting. So that has actual picture of each of your symbols on your top side control. It's going to go over what I did previously. It's going to tell you your pump 1. So starting your pump, going in your high speed and your low speed, turning the light, your up and down arrows are turning the temperature up and down. We're going to go to the next page. That's your quick reference guide. That's going to go through the settings that we went through. Again, hit it once, it's going to go to your settings, and this is explained on the sheet. Next is your ON, which is your sanitizer level, which again is between 0 and 24, representing hours in the day. More hours a day equals more sanitizer. Less is less. One thing to remember, and it doesn't say this in the manual, when you set your filter cycles, it produces sanitizer. So if you're running a filter cycle at 20 hours a day of circulating the water, it's going to be producing sanitizer during those 20 hours. So you might have your sanitizer down but filter up and not know why you have a ton of sanitizer in the water. So it's a little helpful hint there. Quick reference guide on error codes. All right. Pretty much on any error code, if an error code comes up, call me. Then we'll diagnose it, fix it from there. I don't think you need to know how to service it and work with that. And that pretty much covers that. Okay, back to water maintenance. We've got the salt in the water. We have cold water sanitizer, granular chlorine. Simply put like a heaping teaspoon in it. If you want to do it on fresh water, running on city water, there's probably a certain amount of chlorine in the water to start with. You shouldn't have to worry about it. But if you want to have a sanitized reading right off the start before the salt starts to generate, you've got this. Or if you have a really low sanitized reading and we're going to have people getting in the tub, that's immediate. All right. Cold water balance is alkalinity increaser. So if you need to increase the alkalinity, you're going to use that, which in Edmonton's never going to happen. And then cold water rundown drops alkalinity and drops pH. Cold water jump raises pH only. All of these say right on the front of it as well, right? So it's called cold water jump and it says right in the front, raises your pH. All right, we have a bubble remover. If people like to get in with their clothes on, they're going to bring detergents, cosmetics in your hair, stuff like that. It's going to create bubbles in the water. So this will just kill the bubbles, shut it down, then you're going to have to change your filter. And we have a clarifier. So if you have cloudy water, you can add this in within 24 hours. We'll turn the filtration up, add like just an ounce of this, and it's called a flocculant or a coagulant. It takes all the small particles in the water, gets them to glob up together. So after you add it, the water will look really bad. And then it gets filtered out, change your filter, and you'll have clean water. Really, I think given the size of it and how the facility is set up to be able to drain and fill, if you got bad water, drain it and just put new water in it. And we have test strips. So if you're testing the water, it's a simple little strip. Dip it in the water, and it's just going to match up color code. So it's your chlorine reading, alkalinity reading, pH reading, which are on check, check, check. Chlorine might be a little bit low, but we just added the salt into it. And that's about it in a nutshell. Is that good, guys?
Awesome.
So how much of this and filters should you have on supply, just on the shelf, to get you through, let's say, a month? What should you have?
What you have, if we added like 2 more pails of salt right now, and probably 2 more filters with that, you're good for a couple of months, probably 3 months. I would say a filter a month, that's a good average. Change a filter every month, I would regardless.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, other than that, we've got steps. Steps are always included in the package. They're just like a little plastic step. Let me, here, I'll get through here, guys, just for the cameraman.
Yeah, around. We can all move out here now.
All right. Ugh. So I've got the steps, right? And I mean, you could use them and just have them set down and then set them on top of the cover when it's not in use. But I mean, we're sitting at 31 inches in height for the tub. Unless it's a really small person, I think they step into the tub and it shouldn't be a problem. That's, I'm going to give you warning labels. This says don't drink and go in it, etc. for safety and liability reasons.
That's only when you're on the road.
If you want to post that, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Most of my problems, or your water chemistry problems, are all going to be if people are showering before they get in. And if the guy gets in and they haven't showered and they're sweaty and they just jump in and use it as a bath, you're going to have a nightmare balancing chemicals. All right?
What about like hot tub, cold tub, hot tub? Is that gonna affect the chemicals?
There is gonna be guys that are gonna contrast like that are gonna go hot, cold.
It shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Because you're running sanitary water, you're just going to be putting a hot body in cold water. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Okay, other than that, I can hand out some USBs. I'll put the files on them right now, and that's how you do it.
Awesome, that's great, man.